Hello, my dear students of class 8. I hope you all are staying safe and secure during this time. The number of cases in our country are increasing day by day. So please ensure that you are safe and following the required social distancing norms. Right. Today, we will be doing a new chapter from your English textbook, which is your Honeydew textbook. All right, we will be doing a poem called The Ant and the Cricket. It's a wonderful poem. It's actually a fable that's been adapted from Aesop's fable. Or what is a fable? A fable is a story, often with animals as characters, that conveys a moral. All right, so every Aesop fable will convey, and it will also have animals as characters in the story. Now, this poem is about an ant and a cricket and contains an idea of far reaching significance, meaning the idea behind what the lesson or the poem has been written about. It has a far reaching significance with regard to the idea, which is a true which is as true of a four-legged cricket as a two-legged one. Surely, you have seen a cricket that has two legs. All right, so let's go ahead and read this poem first. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to read the poem out first, and then I will explain the poem to you as well. So what I want you to do is, while I'm reading, I want you to go ahead and take out a pen or a pencil and take out a soft copy of the lesson which has already been sent to you and keep it in front of you so that you can follow while I'm reading and explaining this to you. All right, so I'm going to be reading from my textbook here that I want you to follow uh, at home by watching the video and also by reading the chapter from the soft copy. All right, The Ant and the Cricket. A silly young cricket accustomed to sing through the warm summer nights of, I'm going to repeat that. A silly young cricket accustomed to sing through the warm sunny months of gay summer and spring began to complain when he found that at home his cupboard was empty and winter has come. Not a crumb to be found on the snow-covered ground, not a flower could he see, not a leaf on a tree. Oh, what will become, says the cricket, of me? At last, by starvation and famine made bold, all dripping with wet and trembling with cold, away he set off to a miserly ant to see if, to keep him alive, he would grant him shelter from rain and a mouthful of grain. He wished only to borrow, he'd repay it tomorrow. If not, he must die of starvation and sorrow. Says the cricket to the ant, says the ant to the cricket, I'm your servant and friend, but we ants never borrow, we ants never lend. But tell me, dear cricket, what did you lay nothing by when the weather was warm? Quoth the cricket, not I. My heart was so light that I sang day and night, for all nature looked gay. You sang, sir, you say? Go then, says the ant, and dance the winter away. Thus ending, he hastily lifted the wicket, and out of the door turned the poor little cricket. Folks call this a fable, I'll warrant it true. Some crickets have four legs, and some have two. A really, really wonderful fable. Let's go ahead and go through it from the beginning, and I will explain this to you. All right. So a silly young cricket accustomed to sing. So there was a silly little cricket who was accustomed to, meaning that was his usual thing to be doing. He was used to singing. All right. through the warm, sunny months of gay summer and spring. Gay summer meaning happy summer and spring, all right? So this little cricket, this young cricket, was used to singing through the warm, sunny months of summer and spring. Then he began to complain when he found at home his cupboard was empty and winter was come. All right, so he was through the months of summer and spring. He was singing the whole day because he was used to singing the whole day and just wasting time. And then when it became winter, he started to complain because there was no food at home for him to eat. Not a crumb to be found on the snow-covered ground. So it was snowing and the ground was covered with snow, and he could not find a crumb. A crumb is a small piece of bread, cake, or biscuit. It's a small little piece that, while sometimes when you eat a biscuit or you eat cake, small little bits fall down. All right, it may fall into your hand or a plate wherever you're eating, or it might even fall to the ground. Those small little pieces are called crumbs. All right, so not a crumb to be found on the snow-covered ground, not a flower could he see, not a leaf on a tree. All right, so this he probably used to get food from these flowers or leaves and survive with that. So he could not see anything because winter has come. All right. Oh, what will become of me? Oh, what will become, says the cricket, of me. All right. So he thinks, what is going to happen to me? How am I going to survive? Right. Let's move along. At last, by starvation and famine made bold. Starvation is when you don't have any food to eat and your body is really, really craving for something. All right. So the extreme condition that you face when you don't eat food or don't give your body food as energy, that is known as starving or starvation. All right. And famine is an extreme scarcity of food, when there is no food available and there's nothing to eat. That kind of a scenario where we are not able to even grow more crops or sell it after growing it to anybody else because we are not able to grow it. That kind of a situation, the extreme scarcity of food, is known as famine. All right, so because there was no food and this cricket was starving, it made him bold. All right, so it gave him a little bit of guts and made him bold. All dripping with wet and trembling with cold, he set off to a miserly ant. A miserly person. Who's a miserly person? A person who stores wealth and spends little money as possible. All right, so a person who stores wealth or hoards wealth and spends little money as possible, spends very little money. He has lots of money, he wants to make more money, but he does not like spending a lot of money, and such kind of a person is known as a miser. All right, so this cricket, he set off to meet this miserly ant to see if, to keep him alive, he would grant meaning give. All right, so because he was dying of starvation, and it was famine because it was snowing. All right, so he goes and asks a miserly cricket if he could give him something. What does he want? He asks him for shelter from the rain and a mouthful of grain. He wanted a place to stay, shelter from the rain and a mouthful of grain. He wanted a little food to eat. He wished only to borrow, he'd repay it tomorrow. All right, so tomorrow meaning not the very next day, when the winter is over and when we are in the spring month. Then this ant says he will repay the ant whatever food and whatever help he gives him as shelter. If not, he must die of starvation and sorrow. Starvation is the death caused by lack of food. All right. Sorrow is when you are really, really sad about something. All right. So he says if he does not help him, if the cricket says if the ant does not help him, he will die of starvation and sorrow. All right, let's move on. Says the ant to the cricket, I'm your servant and friend, but we ants never borrow, we ants never lend. All right, so in reply to the cricket asking the ant for some shelter and for some food because he's going to die of starvation, the ant says, well, I'm your servant and friend, but we ants never borrow from anybody, and we ants